All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am now live on YouTube. This will be reformatted and recorded and sent to my basically to my traditional YouTube channel. Hold on a second here. All right. So today what we're going to do is we're going to compare BoomTown versus CINC. We're going to do an updated download for those two platforms. And unlike my past efforts in reviewing these platforms, this is not going to be terribly long. It's going to be down and dirty. For those of you that may not know me, my name is Robert Newman. I'm the founder of InboundREM, which is Inbound Real Estate Marketing. I'm the only inbound marketer in the US to focus on SEO and attraction marketing for real estate agents, whereas BoomTown and other CINC and many other systems that I review are all more like persuasion or push marketing systems. You go out, you advertise, you try to get somebody to click on the ad, you force them into a search marketing platform like the one that's on my screen, and then they have to register, and then eventually your agents follow up, and those are the leads, and that's the lead generating mechanism for most of these systems. BoomTown and CINC, the two that we're going to talk about today, that is certainly the way that they do it. So BoomTown and CINC, in case you do not know me yet, that would be because you haven't actually done a YouTube search on these systems. First and foremost, I have already done user reviews on both, and they are both the most watched videos in their category. I have about 12,000 views on my BoomTown ROI reviews, and I have somewhere maybe 10 or 11,000 on CINC. All right, so that is because I got like access to licensed versions of their platform, and I reviewed them from the inside out. There's no need for me to do that kind of deep dive today. If you're interested in understanding these platforms, go to look at my user reviews. You can do the search BoomTown YouTube review or CINC YouTube review. I'm number one for both, or number one or two, somewhere up there. So I am also pretty high in the traditional search results for these reviews. Top 10 for CINC still after many, many years of dropping the original review. Probably top 10 for BoomTown as well. So wherever you go, you can find me if you look. Now, having said that, what are we going to talk about? Well, BoomTown has been acquired by kvCORE. As a matter of fact, in an ironic turn of events, I dropped an updated review for the first time in about 3 or 4 years, and then BoomTown announced their sale to kvCORE. When people ask me to update my deep dive user reviews, which happens all the time, I generally refuse because my original reviews usually stand. There's very few things to update people on, and what I've decided to do today is try a new format. It's not worth me doing full like reviews or spending the amount of time because the systems, the platforms haven't updated that much. And how do I know that? How do I know what's going on with the platforms? Well, first and foremost, platforms, when they do update themselves, like with CINC, they absolutely generally try to update their client base in the world at large. So they announce it on their website. They're usually announcing their major updates and innovations. There might be very minor systemic UI or UX changes, which is a fancy way of saying interface changes, UX changes. But believe me, if there was anything major, either one of these two companies would announce it. And so I am logged in and subscribed to all of the updates for every major CRM and system. So generally speaking, I am pretty up to date with what they're doing. CINC has gone in the direction over the last number of years of kind of following in the steps of their parent company, which is Fidelity National Mortgage. And what do I mean by that? CINC Systems announces a launch of TRES-RE, a suite of treasury solutions designed to help banks provide real estate companies the ability to bank within their accounting software. In other words, they're working with their core skill set by being owned by a mortgage company, and they're working on financial solutions in the back of CINC. They're essentially trying to create, it sounds like, I'm just reading this update, it would seem that what they're doing is leveraging their true unique your uniqueness, which is they're owned by one of the most prolific mortgage bankers in the US, which now has access to CINC because they bought it, lock, stock, and barrel. Now, I was suspicious at first, and I think that a lot of other people were too, but it would appear that what CINC really wants to do is add additional financial products into CINC and basically cross-sell into realtors' mortgage solutions. But they do seem to be taking a technology view on it where they're providing bleeding edge software assistance products, which means that technically speaking, you might be able to get access to some financial options in terms of back-end deal stuff with CINC. Now, Place, Ben Kinney has the same idea, but he's still in development, whereas CINC has a long-established system. All of that does not mean that they're a better real estate SEO or lead generation system. That means that they're headed in another direction, which is what all of their updates for the last 3 or 4 years seems to indicate. They're not updating CINC in any meaningful way. Business building tools, we can do this and do a filter and say, are you doing anything with business? Actually, you know what? Honestly, I'm not even going to bother because this is already taking us all the way back to February 2022. They're not really doing all that many updates in general. They're not like advancing forward greatly. And what does that mean to you guys, like who are hoping for some updated information? It means that I really don't have much additional to say about CINC over my long-standing review. Now, you're taking the time to watch this video, so I'll bullet point it for you. For people with large, complex team and financial options, CINC is still a good option. They charge you for learning. It's an incredibly complex system. It'll take you hours in classes to learn. That doesn't mean that for a certain small handful of you that have like multiple mortgage brokers that you're in business with and you're dividing real estate expenses, they were already leaders in the class of system that worked with certain types of vendors very well. That's why they got bought by a mortgage company. So they're still the leader in that. And what's more, they're heading in a direction where they're unique in that ability. So if you've got a lot of strange vendor, well, not strange, but just like unique mortgage lender relationships, and you like tracking those finances and everything, it's a big pain in the tuchus, then CINC might be a system for you. They're below average in lead generation. They're not great. On a scale of 1 to 10, their websites are 3 at best. So they're not branding websites. They're only search marketing sites. They're not great search marketing sites. Pretty much everybody beats them in the category now. Chime, kvCORE, which is inside real estate, BoomTown, the list goes on and on. Everybody makes a better website than CINC. But if you advertise enough to it, throw enough dollars at it, maybe you'll get a return. The ROI on CINC, I think, would be very low. However, based on certain conditions, depending on how much time and energy you spend, how big your budget is, I still think that CINC might be a solution for really big, complex team environments. If like you have complicated financing on the back end, it becomes kind of like one of the only true systems to look at. Like if you're really working with, let's say, 5 or 6 different mortgage lenders in 5 or 6 different markets, and you're trying to figure out how much you spend, and you've hired a whole additional, like a chief operating officer, CINC becomes a necessary part of your toolkit. But if you're that big, if you've got that big of a team, this would not be my top real estate lead generation system. There are plenty of others that are better. Ylopo's at the top of the stack in terms of systems. Most likely you have a very large budget with many, many different channels that you're building leads out of. And if you are doing that, then like InboundREM might be the only inbound marketing site to look at, content-based, SEO-friendly, focused on the hyperlocal, focused on Google business profiles, all the things that a lot of other providers actually either look at very vaguely or not at all. So it's an untapped lead source, right? In the circumstance where you're a big organization and you're looking for different channels in terms of your lead flow. Now, if you're not any of those things, CINC would not be, I mean, of the top 10 real estate lead providers, it would be towards the bottom of the list for me. You might be better served by real geeks. How does it compare to BoomTown? Well, BoomTown sold itself out to kvCORE, and previously BoomTown was beating the pants off CINC. Always had. They have a much better back-end platform. You can look at my BoomTown ROI user review, and you can get a walkthrough. I launched this video less than a year ago. It's already got 3,000, 4,000 views on it. And my previous one is like 14,000. It's ridiculous. So you can see what my overall thoughts were. They haven't changed much between those two videos. What has changed, and it's a big change, is BoomTown got bought out by kvCORE. Now, Alan Greer and his team were really good about being innovators. That's the previous CEO who might very well still be employed by kvCORE. I think he has a contract with them. Pretty sure it's a few years long. He's still there somewhere, probably working on the platform, working with the kvCORE transition team. Having said that, when I looked for updates, there appears to be none. The kvCORE Inside Real Estate site is talking a lot about solutions that are phone apps and AI integration, email AI integration, lots of AI stuff. None of it is focused on platforms. Since the BoomTown Pro, there was a BoomTown Pro announcement in October of 2023. Okay, so it would appear that they're probably leveraging what they did is they integrated a lot of things that were already in kvCORE and offered it to the BoomTown audience. This is website templates, next generation CMAs. Now the template thing is an exciting update. I've never seen the templates. Depending on how good the templates are, and depending on whether they're website based, that would mean that BoomTown is getting the first facelift in almost a decade. That would be very cool. I have no idea if that's what they mean in this update. A listing marketing update that creates elite level marketing materials to effectively promote listings, press sellers, and attract new buyers. Who knows what that is? Honestly, probably nothing any more impressive than the already existing templates that are in the kvCORE library, updated and added into being additional levels of service for BoomTown, a BoomTown audience. I'm not saying that you can't get usefulness out of them. Likely you can, especially if you've been struggling with like marketing, like automation templates, like somebody just handing you something that you can use inside your toolkit. Everybody that calls me always wants this done for you funnel. That's why Ylopo is so successful. You just don't want to mess with it. Every message, everything is already done for you. All right. That is great if you're using systems. Okay. And it likely would create some additional value. Now, what this seems to suggest is that they are spinning off a new product, BT Pro. And I don't know cost. I have no reviews. Nobody's talked to me about it. They've got a 1-minute video. I suggest that you watch it. Here's my educated guess. This was announced months after the acquisition of kvCORE, or sorry, of BoomTown. So likely they already knew in advance that they wanted to integrate pre-existing products and services that were available to kvCORE agents. They decided to spin it off into a new product. They have not had time to change the BoomTown backend or make any deep, innovative technology switches. And as a matter of fact, this is the only mention of BoomTown inside all of their updates. So likely it's a content update. In other words, you've got some tools that you can get support from that were part of the kvCORE library that are just being transferred over to the BoomTown user base. The kvCORE tools, which I have reviewed, and I've got yet again another review up on kvCORE, and you can see what I thought of them then. I never have seen anything exciting coming out of kvCORE unless it was being altered by Ricky Carruth or Kyle Handy, people that use the system that are updating large swaths of their user base and giving them exciting, innovative, bleeding edge updates as a mechanism of introducing you to those guys because they're working for a virtual brokerage that you've all heard of called EXP. So I really don't think that there's probably anything all that innovative or exciting. And if you're looking at this, wondering if you should review, like use BoomTown or not, here's my ultimate thought about real estate systems right now. I will keep comparing them. If you guys, I'm going to ask for you guys to really weigh in heavily on this particular video. Leave me comments. Let me know. Is this helpful? Is it not helpful? If I see no comments coming in, I'm probably not going to bother to do these. This will be my first one with two of the most popular systems. Systems are tough right now. If you're already involved in these systems with a long-standing pipeline, of course you don't get out of CINC or BoomTown. Whether or not you continue the advertising bit or you try to expand out into systems that are better at nurturing existing audiences, such as Ylopo or custom email campaigns, that's a different story. Advertising dollars for new leads is a very tough market right now. Number one, your audiences are shrinking dramatically. Okay. When the economy gets tough, I've seen numbers that suggest that interest is down by 25 to 45% this year over last. There's thousands of factors. Hopefully you understand what those are. Not thousands. There are quite a few major factors that everybody should already know if you're in real estate. And interest rates don't help. And the super white hot market for the last number of years obviously had to cool off. So there's a natural cooling off period combined with a very unfriendly market for first-time home buyers and people who are making bilateral moves have, for the most part, bilaterally moved. The exciting category for me in 2024 is luxury, because we are going to head into what is at least like an economic dip, if not a full-on recession, and it's looking like it might be a significant one. And the last time this happened, because I've been in the business that long, cash buyers were scooping up luxury product, mid-luxury and high-tier luxury, left, right, backwards, and forwards. Every other market suffered deeply, but the people that had the cash were sitting on it bought. So if you happen to be servicing some of those markets and you've somehow figured out how to make one of these lead system sites work for you in that space, by all means, this might be a great year for you. I doubt it. I haven't seen very many of those things in the 16 years I've been doing this. Most people who are leveraging luxury are not using BoomTown or CINC. So that's who are aiming at luxury are not using these systems because the people that are buying these luxury homes are not clicking sponsored links to start with. That's how these guys draw traffic in. And even if they did click sponsored links, the website and information on the site is not nearly sophisticated enough to draw in interest and create a lead. Every once in a while, somebody will back into a significant lead off a system, and it's so worthwhile, so worth noting. You'll hear them trumpet it from the rooftops, because it's so unusual. But having said that, if a system could bring in one high-end lead in certain markets, like here in California, I heard stories about Tristan Amata doing a $25 million lead deal off a Ylopo lead. I'm sure that one deal would pay for years with Ylopo. But I think it's worth mentioning that the reason that you hear about these things is they're so unusual and not very many people get them, and certainly not at that level and not on these systems, certainly not BoomTown or CINC. So ultimately, I would say if you're involved in them, there's no reason to uninvolve yourself. If it was me and I was running that system, I might try to use my advertising dollars in other areas, YouTube advertising, like I said, maybe inbound. I might look at hiring Ylopo and using not their paid advertising platform right now, but I would definitely use their lead nurturing platform, which is more like a Ylopo website with all these IDX signals sent into it so that you could send out really well crafted emails, very deep ones that had links to that site, and user behavior signals would start up, and it would be a clever and crafty way to maybe re-engage your audience, which CINC and BoomTown both don't offer. So if you have 10,000, 20,000 names, now here's the problem. BoomTown doesn't allow export of your information. And I'm not sure what the rule is with CINC, but neither one is very friendly with getting your data moved around, which is definitely problematic. So, which is a major con for both systems. But look at my full original reviews to see what I think of those systems in general. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that this video has been helpful. Please let me know if you think it's been helpful. If you'd like me to see some additional comments or something else that maybe I didn't focus on that you'd like me to focus on in terms of a quick update video to go on top of my original videos, let me know. I'm here to try to help the real estate professionals out there looking for information on these systems. Till next time, I've been Robert Newman, founder of InboundREM.